listen to them.
Frankly, I would rather share a bathroom with 100 trans women than one legal biological woman who wants to know what's inside my pants. And frankly, I am now feeling in a position where I'm in a room with you and I feel unsafe. Yeah.
You feel unsafe?
I feel unsafe. I feel my heart racing. My hands are starting to sweat. Do you want to touch my hand? Just clammy now. Okay. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you. So I'd like to leave now. Yeah.
You're watching Julian Discourse. If you're tired of the establishment spin and want unapologetic accountability, hit the subscribe button right now. Following a landmark Supreme Court ruling confirming that biological sex is a concrete reality, TalkTV's Julia Hartley-Brewer invited a progressive activist on air to discuss it. What follows is an absolute schooling. The guest attempts to rely on a pre-written script, bizarrely comparing biological reality to 1930s Germany. But Hartley-Brewer methodically dismantles the logic, exposing the utter absurdity of claiming the word woman is undefinable. Watch how quickly the narrative collapses when it's taken apart piece by piece.
I am delighted to welcome back Shivani Dave. She's a journalist and broadcaster. You do a Friday night show on our sister broadcasting station at Virgin. And it's lovely to have you back in the studio. Last time you were here, you were a bit cross with me, and it went rather viral because I referred to you as she and her because you are a woman. You identify as, I believe, non-binary. You prefer the pronouns they, them. And
whichever one's the scariest.
You took me to task for using what I believe were your correct pronouns. Does that landmark ruling by the Supreme Court change anything for you?
Well, so first of all, thanks for having me, Julia.
Always welcome.
Lovely to speak to you. Friends call me Shiv, so Shivani, Shiv, whatever pronouns scare you the most are fine for me. And I kind of want to say, I wrote you something, because obviously this is a huge topic. This is so a few sentences, if you let me say what I want to say. In years to come, I believe this decision by the Supreme Court will be considered shameful. Women are, in my opinion, beyond description or categorisation. Women are funny, knowledgeable, powerful, strong, and in my experience with trans women, they're kind. Trans people are not your enemy, and women are marginalised within our society already, here in the UK. Defining women by their sort of biological functions or their appearance has never helped any woman ever. Isn't that what the suffragettes were sort of fighting against in the first place? The ruling and this discussion entirety kind of is resulting in a distraction from the sort of disturbing reality that we're living through, which is, the facts are, the UK has an emboldened far-right population, our government is fueling a genocide, violence against women and girls has shot through the roof, and spoiler alert, it's not because of trans women. The LGBT community is most likely to experience abuse, addiction, homelessness than the straight community, and within that, those who suffer the most are women, they are trans women. These are women who make me personally feel safe. They're the ones that I want to dance with at 2 a.m. in the morning and watch football with on a Sunday afternoon. The law can define a woman however it wants. You can call whoever you want, whatever pronouns you want, but what are you really going to do? Are you going to make people cis or trans carry ID with them so that they have to prove who they are? Because to me, that sounds like 1930s Germany. If I were to call this out for the BS that it is, and if I were to swear on air, I would be in more trouble personally than any bigoted politician or presenter that has ever played a part to further marginalise this already vulnerable community. Right. Despite the years and even decades that some broadcasters have dedicated to vile and hateful dog whistles about communities that bring so much joy and happiness and creativity to the world and this country, I just think that the people who are celebrating this with their bottles of champagne are going to look back, or hopefully we are going to look back at them and think that it's actually quite dark and quite disturbing that what they are celebrating is a separation of vulnerable people from society who are not going to be able to access the services that they need to access.
Right. Okay, there's a lot to unpick there. Are you including me, just out of interest, in the vile and hateful dog whistle broadcasters?
It's a self-ID situation. If you feel you sit into that...
No, well, I don't, obviously, because I've not been hateful about anyone who's trans or... Do you? I'm asking you.
It's not for me to put you in a category.
It's not for you. Okay. Right, here we go. Right, you say it's shameful. You think this in the future will be regarded as shameful. I mean, you obviously think it's shameful now.
Yeah.
And trans activists, many of them argue it is.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not a trans activist. I'm just a person.
Yeah,
just
but I'm talking about many
yeah.
trans activists. I wasn't including that. When you say women are beyond description and categorisation, well, no, I mean, that's like saying, well, a table or a dog is beyond description and characterisation. We have words, and words are only useful as an ability to communicate between human beings because we all agree what those words mean. So if I hold up this navy blue mug and say that's orange, and use them, well, we have to be using words that have the same meaning. It's navy blue. So when I say it's navy blue, then you have to understand that as the same thing as I understand that. Otherwise, it's a meaningless conversation. So when we have a conversation about what is a woman, we need to all know what we mean by that. Now, it's your view and the view of many activists, I'm not saying you are, and many activists, that women has a number of different categories. People who were born women and are women, and men who believe that they are women or have a piece of paper saying they are women. The Supreme Court was very, very clear.
Yeah.
They're saying not only is the law now, they're saying it has always been the case that because you have a piece of paper, even a piece of paper, a gender recognition certificate, saying that you are legally a woman if you're born a man, you are not in fact a woman. Do you not accept that, or do you accept that ruling?
I mean, like that whatever. Like
no,
for
that's
me,
not an answer to a question.
Let me finish
You're not a 12-year-old.
Let me finish my sentence. That is to me whatever, because for me and my community, trans women are women. They have always existed. They will always continue to exist.
What does that mean? They've existed.
Well,
no one's saying they're figments of imagination.
Yeah, but we are saying that they're women.
No, saying they exist is not the same as saying they're women.
Well, I'm saying that they're women.
And that's not the same as saying they exist.
If the law doesn't want to...
Well, no, we need to use words that have meaning.
Well, here's the words that have the meaning, because I've spent time to write these words, right, for you.
And we listen to them.
Frankly, I would rather share a bathroom with 100 trans women than one legal biological woman who wants to know what's inside my pants. And Julia, if I'm right in remembering, you did ask me what my genitals look like once live on TV.
I think that was in the context of a conversation and you raised that issue yourself.
I remember the quote. You don't have dangly bits, do you? So do you want to discuss dangly bits or not? Because frankly, I am now feeling in a position where I'm in a room with you and I feel unsafe. Yeah.
You feel unsafe?
I feel unsafe. I feel my heart racing. My hands are starting to sweat. Do you want to touch my hand? Just clammy now. Okay. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you. So I'd like to leave now.
What?
Yeah.
So you're feeling... Yeah, you were asked to come on the show to have a conversation.
And I've had a conversation.
We had a very nice...
We've had a conversation.
Well, you read out a statement, and now I'd like to ask you some questions.
You read out your statement. You did at the beginning.
Out a statement. No, that's me introducing the topic for people who are just tuning in and explaining
you added your
ad
libs. You got to say what you thought about it. I've said my piece, and now I'd really like to go.
I thought you were actually plugged into a mic there. I thought we were going to have a conversation.
What you just witnessed is not merely an uncomfortable television interview. It is the real-time collapse of modern identity politics when it is finally denied the luxury of blind compliance. For years, the public has been told that we must abandon objective reality, rewrite our dictionaries, and ignore our own eyes to accommodate the feelings of a vocal radical fringe. But when that ideology is dragged out of its safe spaces and forced to defend itself against basic, unapologetic logic, it doesn't just lose the argument, it panics. Look closely at how this exchange played out, because it perfectly maps the progressive left's playbook. The activists did not come to debate, they came to deliver a monologue. They arrived armed with a highly emotive, pre-written script that bizarrely attempted to equate a Supreme Court ruling on biological sex to the horrors of 1930s Germany. Think about the sheer arrogance of that framing. This is the hallmark of modern woke activism, the reliance on massive, offensive historical hyperbole to instantly smear anyone who disagrees with them as a fascist. The goal is never to persuade. The goal is to bully the opposition into silence through moral blackmail. But Julia Hartley-Brewer refused to be blackmailed. Instead, she calmly stripped the emotion away and zeroed in on the absolute core of the culture war, objective truth. When the guest argued that the word woman is beyond description or categorization, Hartley-Brewer exposed the fatal flaw in that entire worldview. If words have no objective meaning, communication ceases to exist. And that is exactly what the radical left wants. They want to dismantle objective categories because an undefined reality is infinitely easier to manipulate and control. And what happens the exact moment that narrative control is successfully challenged? The woke shield is instantly deployed. The guest's sudden declaration of feeling unsafe, complete with claims of a racing heart and an impending panic attack, is the most revealing moment of the entire segment. Make no mistake, this is not fragility, this is a highly calculated power play. The modern left has strategically weaponized the concept of safety to equate speech with violence. By claiming that being asked a question makes them physically unsafe, activists attempt to transform their political opponents into aggressors. It is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. If my opponent's logic is violence, then I don't have to answer their argument. I can simply flee the room and claim the moral high ground of victimhood. This tactic has been terrifyingly effective for over a decade, allowing radical gender ideology to capture our institutions, universities, and corporate media. Politicians and HR departments completely abandoned common sense simply because they were terrified of an activist having a performative panic attack in their office. But this interview perfectly captures a massive, ongoing political shift. The era of forced compliance is breaking down, and the data proves it. The trigger for this entire meltdown was the UK Supreme Court's landmark 2025 ruling in the For Women Scotland case. The highest court in the land officially rejected the subjective gender identity framework, ruling unanimously that under the Equality Act, sex and woman inherently mean biological sex. It legally shattered the progressive fiction that a gender recognition certificate can rewrite human biology. And this legal reckoning is running parallel to a devastating medical reckoning. Just a year prior, the monumental 2024 Cass Review exposed how the NHS allowed radical gender ideology to completely bypass evidence-based medicine. The sweeping independent investigation revealed that the medicalization of children, including the use of puberty blockers, was built on remarkably weak evidence. The establishment is finally being forced to admit that prioritizing activist demands over scientific reality has resulted in catastrophic institutional failure. The progressive left built an entire political movement on the premise that if they screamed bigot loudly enough, society would eventually surrender its grip on reality. What this clip proves is that their ideological house of cards cannot withstand even 5 minutes of mild logical scrutiny. When forced to defend their worldview in the light of day, backed into a corner by both the Supreme Court and independent medical data, they have no arguments, no facts, and no defense. All they have left is to unplug their microphones, play the victim, and run out the door.